Now, I've asked Pastor Mike to close today because he just got back from Jordan, and he's had some experiences that he's going to share next week in an ABF. But Mike, come on up and close us in prayer today, brother.
Good morning. As Bill said, I just returned from a week in Amman, Jordan. I find the sermon this morning particularly applicable in that I spent the last 2 weeks interacting with people from basically 3 different countries, primarily Iraqi Christians. Christians who lived in Nineveh and Mosul, who were going about their daily business, who were involved with local churches, civic organizations, schools, until ISIS showed up on their door and gave them the choice of dying, converting to Islam, or paying a never-ending tax. When they packed up their belongings and got into cars to leave the country and flee the country, they went through ISIS checkpoints where all of their wealth was confiscated. In the city of Amman, Jordan, there are 10,000 families of Christian refugees who left their jobs, their credentials, their degrees, their college educations, their businesses, their homes, for the sake of Jesus. I had the privilege of teaching 12 people in a 4-hour discipleship seminar last Saturday morning. And I made the comment that in Philippians it says, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, and that some will then be welcomed into His presence for eternity and some will be condemned. An Iraqi man raised his hand. He said, Pastor Mike, you said some would be condemned. I said, yes, sir. He says, does that include those men in ISIS? I said, yes, sir. He says, I have a question. How will they know about God? And for the sake of Christ, he was more concerned for the salvation and the welfare of his persecutors than he was about everything that he had left behind, because he would not give up the name of Christ. I interacted with members of the Jordanian church and members of the Egyptian church in Egypt, where the Muslim Brotherhood has made it against the law to convert to Christianity, and where a church of 40 has grown to a church of 12,000. A church where 2 weeks ago, 6,000 people spent 48 hours in prayer and fasting, not for deliverance, but to know God, to know Him better. Every Iraqi believer that I interacted with said, I would give it all up again, because what I have learned about Jesus when I lost everything. It's a very humbling experience. As much as I love each and every one of you and I love my classes in my church, I felt like I returned to a wimpy body of believers after seeing the power of God at work in very real, unbelievable ways in the lives of these men and women. Men and women who put their best clothes on when they knew we were coming to visit, who served us their last cookies and Turkish coffee to make sure we were welcome. I'm going to be sharing more about my trip next week and the week after during our Sunday school hour. It's an unbelievable experience. I appreciate those of you who prayed for my safety. I got over there and I told the guys at the office I was working with, I said, my church is very concerned for me. They said, yeah, we saw your Facebook page, all the people that were praying for your safety. I said, yeah, they're very concerned about me being here in the Middle East. In the wake of the political turmoil and everything else. And they said, but you're in Jordan. I said, yes, I'm aware of that. And he said, you realize you're in a city of 6 million people that are mad at ISIS? And I said, well, when you put it that way. Sometimes in our busyness and our wealth and our comfort, we forget that we are following a risen Jesus, who was the Son of a living God, who was a Father before He was a Creator, who loves us, who empowers us, who has blessed us with a life of comfort and freedom that most people in this world do not understand. He is risen. Let's thank Him for what we are and what we have, for the freedoms that we too often take for granted. Let's pray with me.